And his fastball is going to be right around 89, 90 miles an hour. Mix in a cutter with that and a changeup. So far, you look at his numbers with the Mariners. 7 starts, 5-1 record, a 2.66 ERA. He has really been terrific. Look for him to get a little bit deeper today. The one thing in his first 2 outings, a few walks for him. You normally don't see that. I think he'll throw a lot of strikes this evening.
And it's not 27 degrees, which is what it was
that
the
helps.
last time he was on the mound. Here's Triggs.
And for Triggs, again, kind of a 3/4, maybe a little below 3/4 delivery. He's going to sink his fastball, not overpowering, 90 miles an hour. He'll have a curveball and a slider. Typically, you'll see his curveball quite a bit early in the game, and as the game moves on, the slider a little bit more.
Triggs making start number 3 on the campaign as the Mariners happy to be back home. A road trip that began in San Francisco. Marco Gonzalez was just fantastic. A series split in the Bay Area against the Giants. And then, of course, we'll never forget this. On to Minnesota, some chilly weather, but the Mariners making their way then on to Kansas City. Overall, a 4-3 trip. Mariners looking for a winning homestand. It starts tonight, game 1 of 3. Mariners and the A's coming up. It is good to be back home, and it is Ben Gamble Cap Night here at the ballpark as the Mariners get set for the first of 3. The Mariners and the Oakland Athletics are inside Safeco Field. Very rainy skies outside. The roof closed, of course, as the Mariners get set to begin this week-long homestand against Bob Melvin and the Oakland A's. Mike Leake up on the mound for the Mariners today, making start number 3 on the young season. Leake making only his 4th career start against the Oakland A's. Did face him last season when Leake went 7 innings, allowing just 2 runs. Overall, a winning road trip for the Mariners, 4-3 over the 3-city trip. Leake and the Mariners taking the field as we are just about all set for baseball here tonight in Seattle. Happy as always you're with us for Mariners Baseball on Root Sports. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Flowers, and our entire Root Sports crew welcoming you here to Safeco Field as we take a look now, Mike, at Bob Melvin's starting lineup.
And we'll take a look at the middle of the lineup. Hitting third, Jed Lowry, the veteran, off to a great start this year, hitting .333 with 3 home runs. The cleanup hitter, Chris Davis, over 40 home runs the last 2 years for the A's. And the hitting fifth, Matt Olson, 24 home runs last year and just 189 at-bats. Again, for Leake, looking for his 3rd win on the year. ERA right at 3, 12 innings, 7 walks, a little bit high for him, 4 strikeouts. Opponent's hitting just 186 against him. Good fastball at 90 miles an hour, cutter, changeup. He'll mix in a slider and a curveball with it. And a look at the defense. Nice ovation for Ichiro. Will get the start out and left. field. Andrew Romine will get the start at first base, and Mike Margema is doing the catching.
And one thing that was a constant for Leake last time he was up on the mound, some fantastic defense behind him. See if that can continue here tonight against the Oakland A's, a team, Mike, that the Mariners have really had some very good success against. The A's last 5 years, a winning record against Oakland. A's have struggled the last few seasons overall. As the Mariners, you look at this homestand, 3 tonight against Oakland, and the red-hot Astros come to town next. This looks like a series that you really have to win. Not have to win, but you really, of course, like to win if you're the Mariners.
Yeah, the A's off to a bit of a slow start, and you mentioned the Mariners and the way that they played against them and the defense today. I think that's the biggest key. Stay away from the walks, play good defense, some timely hitting. But I think you're right. With Houston coming in after this series, it'll be important for them to win this series and hopefully maybe get a sweep.
So here's Matt Joyce to dig in for the A's. Oakland playing their first game outside of the state of California, if you can believe it. They're on the final leg of a 3-city trip. The first it was 3 games in LA against the Angels, then 2 games in LA against the Dodgers. Leake misses for ball 1 as we're underway here tonight. The first of 3 against Oakland. The shift, and in front of Haniger in right field, a base hit. Joyce quickly aboard for Marcus Semien. Now the A's have had struggles defensively in recent seasons. Semien has had his, but he has been a really pretty consistent offensive threat for the A's. Missed a lot of time last year because of wrist surgery. The shortstop to pack some punch at the plate as he fouls off the first pitch. Out to Haniger in right field. Gets there easily. Out number 1. And Joyce back to first. One out, 1 on for Jed Lowry. The ever dangerous Chris Davis on deck. I don't know how this happened, Mike, but last year Jed Lowry quietly a career best 49 doubles for Jed Lowry.
Veteran hitter, 33 years old, off to a great start this year. One of the things that you'll notice with Mike Leake, he will work fast and typically try to get the ball in play as quickly as possible. Pretty good sinker right there at 89 miles an hour, trying to get the double play. There's a look at the defense with the shift on.
Joyce. Andrew Romine getting the start today at first base. Romine last year just 4 starts at first. This is his 14th ever start at first base. We'll go back DHing for the Mariners. So Scott might want to take a look at this.
He's holding the game up right now, but he is not going to take a look at it.
In play, Romine gets away from Cano down to second. The out on Joyce, 2 outs, Lowry aboard.
And we'll take a look at it again, trying to get the ground ball, a little sinker. 2 hopper to Robbie, get the lead runner, no chance for the double play.
And over the last 2 years, no man has hit more home runs against the Mariners than Chris Davis, 14 in fact. More than Mike Trout, more than George Springer. Another first pitch strike. Each of the last 3 hitters now.
Well, that was the cutter. We'll see him throw his cut fastball a lot. So far this year, his fastball at 40% of the time, the cutter at 25%, 15% on the changeup. Again, also has a slider and a curveball that he'll mix in.
Coming off that 4-3 road trip, the Mariners and the A's a day off yesterday here in Seattle. Mariners finishing that trip off strong, 2 out of 3 against Kansas City.
See the numbers for Chris Davis against the Mariners in 38 games. Just a .207 average, but 14 home runs.
Up to center. Gordon having a charge after it. D out of room, gone. Number 3 of the season for Chris Davis. It's a 2-run shot. A's on top early. That's now the 15th home run for Davis against the Mariners since the start of 2016.
I'm going to take a look at the Primera Supermo, and for Mike Leake trying to keep the ball away from him. The first 3 pitches, one on the outside corner, the other 2 off the plate away, that one more in the middle. It makes him pay. Long home run out to right center field.
First pitch, Matt Olson in play. Long throw from Segura over to Romine to end the top of the first. A couple of runs come home on one swing by Chris Davis. A's 2 and the Mariners coming up. Now today marks start number 3 of the season for Andrew Triggs, 29 years old, out of Nashville, Tennessee. The former USC Trojan will face this Mariners lineup.
Mariners starting lineup is brought to you by Jack in the Box, and D. Gordon going to lead things off. A 10-game hitting streak for D. Leads the club with 5 stolen bases. Hitting third, Robinson Cano. He has reached base in all 10 games. Comes into the game hitting .406 overall. And Kyle Seager leads the team with 9 RBIs.
Gordon looks at strike 1.
Numbers for Triggs, his 3rd start in the year. ERA right at 2.5. Only sitting just 200. He's given up 1 home run. A different delivery for Triggs. Just below a 3/4 delivery overall. Fastball at 90 miles an hour. Curveball, slider to go with it.
This looks like he's just whipping batting practice home, doesn't he?
At 90, yeah.
I mean, even the delivery, it kind of looks like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. And When you look at him overall, you would think to right-handers with that delivery that he would use his slider a little bit more, but actually he throws his curveball more to right-handers.
D. Gordon down swinging, nothing but strikes there. The slider that time.
Pretty good slider off the plate away. We'll take a look at the defense for the A's in right field. Stephen Piscotty, the former Cardinal, will be in right field. Matt Chapman, a lot of people like him in his defense. Future Gold Glover. And doing the catching will be the veteran Jonathan Lucroy.
A quick out number 1 for Gene Segura. And all the time we talk about side arming right-handers, for example, coming out of the bullpen being so tough right on right. But is that enough of a drop down and a sidearm to make it tougher for a right-hander, Mike?
I think so. And the other thing that you have to look at too is where his stride goes. And you can see that he's throwing across his body. He's basically stepping towards the A's dugout. So there's some deception to that too. I think probably first time through the lineup, a little bit difficult to pick up the ball and figure out what is going to be in the strike zone. With that pretty good sink to his fastball. Ground ball percentage on his fastball is high. It's over 60%.
And you can see the curveball that time. That has been such a deadly pitch for Triggs over the course of his young career. Opposing hitters hitting just 176 against that curveball. Up the middle, Simeon can't get there. And Segura aboard, a 1-out base hit.
Gene also off to a great start this year, hitting .333 at the start of the game. So he will add to that with a base hit right back up the middle. Simeon trying to keep it on the infield, but even if he's able to catch it, too much speed, he would not have been able to throw out Segura.
That brings up Robinson Cano, the tying run at the plate. Robbie has reached base in all 10 games this year. And he looks at strike 1. Last year, Triggs was limited to just a dozen starts. He had hip surgery over the summer in July. And one start a season ago, that was in May against the Mariners. Pitched very well. A run over 6 innings. Right side and through. Back-to-back base hits. Segura steams towards third. And the Mariners have runners on the corners. An 11-game on-base streak for Robinson Cano.
One of the things we talked about in the spring and Robinson Cano is he was going to have a lot of fun with Gordon and Segura hitting ahead of him. Right side of the infield wide open as he hits this ground ball. Pick up another base hit. Good base running by Segura. He took a look to the outfield where Piscotty was, who was basically in front of the warning track and was able to go first to third.
And now the go-ahead run at the plate in Haniger. Got the top velocity we'll see all night from Triggs. Think about this lineup for the Mariners, hopefully getting Nelson Cruz back tomorrow for the middle game of this series. But the Mariners above 500, a winning road trip with essentially 4 members of the starting lineup on the disabled list. And you can look squarely at the top 3, top 4 in this lineup has carried this team.
No, you're right about that, including Haniger, who's off to a good start.
3-0.
A chance to talk to Nelson Cruz today, and Nelson, pretty good spirit. Sounds like he will be back tomorrow. So that would be great to have him in the lineup, hitting cleanup, and you start to look at the length of the lineup when you start to bring these guys back as they get healthy.
Good numbers against the A's last year for Haniger. Well, Nelson able to run the bases a little bit today, was able to take some swings during BP. Mariners have Segura at third and Cano at first. Back-to-back singles with the 1 out. Well, we were hoping that we would be seeing Ben Gamble tonight. Looks like that will get pushed back a few days, but it is Ben Gamble hair night. Something we have been eagerly anticipating. The 3-2. I don't know though, Mike. For as great as Ben Gamble hair night is, and it is living up to the expectations, James Paxton fanny pack night, which is a real thing, Mike. I may be even looking more forward to that, because I know you'll wear one.
The fanny pack?
Yeah.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
Keep the pen and the highlighter in there. Another 3-2. Hard hit ground ball through the left side. The Mariners are on the board. Segura has come all the way around to score, and the Mariners are down by just a run. 2-1 Oakland. 3 straight base hits for the Mariners.
Take a look at it in our Primera Supermo. The swing by Haniger had to foul off a couple of tough pitches. Find something he can handle, squares it up, hits it hard into left field with that base hit and RBI. He ties Kyle Seager for the team lead with 9 RBIs on the year.
Tying run for the Mariners now at second. The go-ahead Haniger at first. First pitch to Seager. Jackknifes him for ball 1. Of course, it was Seager on a Wednesday with the go-ahead blast in the 8th.
A little bit of a tough start for Kyle, but on the road trip started to heat up. Again, leads the club in RBIs with 9. That was his second home run on the year.
On a line, Piscotty can't get there. Cano around third to tie this game up. He scores standing. Kyle Seager slides into second base, and we are all even at 2.
And for Kyle, has that little bit of a hitch, something he's been working on, and his timing has been much better, especially over the last week or so. And he squares that fastball up, hits it down into the corner. 10 RBIs on the year. That leads the club. So his timing has been much better.
That's good to see. Meanwhile, Haniger first to third. The Mariners have 2 in scoring position after a visit from Scott Emerson, the pitching coach, out to Triggs. Good opportunity here for Daniel Vogelback.
One of the things we've talked about with Daniel is how aggressive he has been. Getting a chance to play the DH tonight. Middle of the infield is back for the A's.
Curveball misses for ball 1.
He was able to do on the road trip. Swung the bat pretty well, hitting 278.
Triggs threw nothing but strikes to D. Gordon to begin the ball game. Tip will strike D out pretty quickly, but then 3 straight naked, 4 straight base hits.
21 pitches, 15 strikes for him.
The 1-1. 1-2. Mariners have Haniger at third base and Seager at second after the double. And that early 2-run lead, courtesy of Chris Davis' home run, 2-0 lead has vanished. It's stopped by Lucroy with Haniger at third base. There's another curveball. You look at the arsenal for Triggs, Mike, a 3-pitch pitcher, and a guy that is something that we'll talk to Jerry Poto about a little bit later tonight when he joins us in the booth. A guy who throws his breaking ball more than his fastball.
Well, if you look at it, his fastball so far this year, 45% of the time he will throw his fastball. But if you combine the curveball and the slider, you're right, Aaron. And that's a trend that we've seen throughout the game. Even for guys that maybe are throwing 95 miles an hour, not throwing their fastball as much. So you would think that would be the case more for somebody like him that is going in today's game throwing 90 miles an hour. I still think his fastball is a very good pitch for him. It's a pitch that he can keep on the ground for the most part. We talked about that. And opponent's hitting just 250 off of the fastball.
The 2-2. Lucroy down to first base to complete the strikeout. 2 outs. Everybody stays put. So you're saying he fits the mold of a guy to do that more than, let's say, Dylan Betances or Andrew Miller or Edwin Diaz?
I would say so, yes.
We look forward to having Jerry on with us in the third inning, the bottom half.
We've seen it with Edwin. He's hit 99 miles an hour a number of times, but he will still use that slider often.
How about Dan Altavilla's last outing?
Yeah, exactly. And also mid to upper 90s, but a very good slider.
Mike Margima getting the start behind the plate, batting 7th tonight for the Mariners. In play, Semien flattens out for him, but the shortstop handles it. For round number 3, the Mariners grab 2, they strand 2, and we're all tied through 1. Ferries and streetcars. You can learn more by simply going to getorcasmart.com. Rainy early evening here in Seattle. Roof closed. Week-long homestand beginning tonight. This is the only chance to see the Mariners, this homestand that is, before we reach the month of May. First pitch strike for Matt Chapman, the third baseman. Leake giving up the 2-run homer to Chris Davis in the first inning. Mariners getting those runs back, however.
It was great to see the Mariners offense come right back and get the 2 runs for Mike. Talking about pitchers mixing it up. Mike will do that as well as anybody. He has 5 pitches that he will throw. His fastball at about 40% of the time, a cutter at 26. Changeup he likes as far as an off-speed pitch. Then he'll also mix in his curveball and his slider. We've seen the curve a couple of times here in this inning. Just trying to get a feel for it.
Talking about the road trip for the Mariners and a winning road trip. Of course, the series in Minnesota was an interesting one, mainly because of weather. But Mike, yesterday, Jose Barrios, who the Mariners saw in
saw
Minnesota.
The highlights,
did you see that?
I did.
For those who missed it, Barrios, the young starter out of Puerto Rico, and a pretty good friend of Edwin Diaz, as Chapman scorches this out to center field. D. Gordon has it in his sights for round number 1. Barrios with 11 punch-outs over 7 scoreless. Of course, before he saw the Mariners, he had spun a complete game shutout against the Orioles in his first start. So Barrios has given up 5 runs this year. They've all come against the Mariners on a day where he had a no-hitter going into the 4th inning.
Now, the highlights that I saw you're talking about in his last outing yesterday was a wiffle ball he was throwing up there. That breaking ball was as good as anyone I've seen.
Impressive. The Mariners were able to get to him.
I'm trying to remember in that game, he was cruised along, and I think it was an infield hit by Segura that put him in the stretch, and that's when the Mariners were able to take advantage of some pitches that ended up in the middle of the plate.
At one point, you're right, he sat down the first 10 batters, and then it was an infield base hit by Segura. Then all of a sudden, Cano an RBI, and then Seager, his first home run of the season. So the Mariners went from being no hit to putting a 3 spot up on the board. Jonathan Lucroy, his first year with Oakland. We saw him on a pretty regular basis during his time with the Rangers. Leak, the deflection, Cano, just like they drew it up.
Pretty good teamwork.
Tip drill at Safeco Field.
I think even if Mike doesn't get a piece of this, Robbie was there to make the play. That was going to be a backhanded play, but this made it a lot easier for him. He can handle that hop. No problem at all.
A new face for the A's, Stephen Piscotty, their right fielder. High strike 1.
I don't know how much you have noticed it, Aaron, but talked about Cano and reaching safely in the first 10 games and hitting over 400 to start today and already picking up a base hit. More than anything, he just looks really healthy and is moving around. Watching him run the bases and going to his left. We saw it in Kansas City, a couple of plays to his left. He just, to me, his health looks really good. But he's had some injuries over the last few years that he's had to deal with.
Piscotty on a line out to Ichiro. Threw out single. Now, court is in session this Sunday when King Felix does battle against the A's. First pitch time at 1:10. Tickets are only $30 and include the new King's Court T-shirt. You can cheer on Felix and the Mariners by picking up your tickets at mariners.com/Felix. I think the point you bring up of moving to his left is a good one because we see the highlight plays for Robbie Wright are almost exclusively moving towards second base, moving to his right.
Because of the way that he throws the ball across the diamond, which is better and different than anybody else in the game. But you're right about that. Even Kansas City had a day off on Wednesday, and he was the DH, but they put him in late in the game for defense, and they immediately made a play to his left, a diving play. He was able to get up right away and throw the runner out.
This is Jake Smolensky, number 9 hitter for the A's, quickly behind 0-2. for a couple of Gamble hats up in the booth, Mike, but I don't think we can wear them as well. Smolinski down swinging, and Leake picks up his first strikeout. Go to the bottom of the second, we'll be seeing Ichiro, Romine, and then D. Gordon. First of three Mariners and the ace. Here's Ichiro to begin things. That's strike one from Andrew Triggs. Ichiro, Romine, then D. Gordon. Baseball out to Triggs, 1-2. Routine play for Lowry on number 1. Well, take a look at our IBEW NICA investing in our future. How about Andrew Moore with AA Arkansas to begin the season? A couple of starts, just about a dozen innings, and 17 punch-outs, only 2 walks, and opposing hitters barely getting anything. 105 the opposing average on Andrew Moore.
Those are great numbers. Off to a terrific start. That's good to see. Talk a lot about the schedule and the weather and guys that have been on the disabled list and all those different things. But one of the things that has been nice is when the Mariners have been home, this being the second time, they've had a day off. So they've landed and had the next day off. Take care of some business. Outside of getting your dry cleaning in, Aaron, what else did you do yesterday? Anything interesting?
Oh, Mike, I was the parent volunteer at my son's preschool.
How'd that go for you?
Well, I broadcasted the whole thing. I figured somebody's got to do play-by-play around here. Jimmy, those oranges are not for you. Too many pretzels, Matthew. You know, just the basics.
That sounds like a good time.
1-2. Tight to the line, a fair ball. Olsen gets there for round number 2. 2 up, 2 down for D. Gordon. But you know, it's a nice time, and it made me realize that compared to being a preschool teacher, Mike, our job's pretty easy.
I would say so.
No one is running with sharp things. No one is drinking Elmer's glue. We're fed better. Really everything.
Everything.
Second time up for D. Gordon.
I believe your son pointed that out to you.
Well, he does have a skewed vision of what work is when he thinks that work is coming to a ballpark and sitting down and watching a baseball game. We'll work that out over the years to come, Mike. I might be asking for some assistance on that.
You can see the Mariners scoring. Haniger and Seager both with RBIs in the first inning.
One and two on D. Had a chance to get to the Negro League Museum with D. Gordon and James Paxton in Kansas City, and my goodness, Mike, there was so much there. I don't even know where to start talking about that entire day, but it was a fantastic experience. And as you can imagine, D has been there many times before, even though he's been a National League player.
Right.
Every time he's been to Kansas City. Of course, his father, Tom,
he's familiar with Kansas City.
Flash Gordon was a fantastic reliever for the Royals for many years. Well, that's really a must stop for any baseball fan. Out to the gap, right center field, sinking quick, and a base hit for D. Gordon. Make it an 11-game hitting streak.
Yeah.
As he hustles into second base. Promotes a single for D. Gordon, a double.
We've known a lot about his speed when he came over to the Mariners this winter. You take a look at the Primera Supermo, and again with 2 strikes, just trying to find a way to put the ball in play. A fly ball out to right center field, and the right fielder overruns it. But with D. Gordon, fundamentally, he does so many things well, and even right there is keeping his head up, watching the play, running hard the entire way, and as soon as he saw that little bit of a bobble into second base, he goes.
Go-ahead run at second. Segura a single and a run scored back in the first. Oh, 2.
Early in the ball game, but the Mariners 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position.
At long last, the 0-2. And Segura down on strikes. The Mariners' threat comes to a close. D. Gordon stranded at second base. We go to the third. back home, isn't it?
It is after the wonky road trip we went on in terms of weather. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Well, we got some good news today, finding out that Nelson Cruz looks like will probably be in the lineup tomorrow. I know he's running the bases, took some swings. That's got to be nice to be able to see him in the lineup hopefully tomorrow at some point.
Yeah, actually he wanted to play today.
Really?
We had to slow him down a little bit. So he looked great in batting practice, and really looking forward to getting Nelly back out there.
It's something that you have to appreciate. I had a chance to talk to Nelson today about how he was doing and getting in the lineup and all those different things. But you have to like the guys that, well, basically he's one of the leaders on your club but wants to be in the lineup, even though maybe he's not always 100%.
And even at less than 100%, Nelson, he just knows how to play. And the biggest thing for Nelly is understanding that sometimes when you hit those infield ground balls, I know it may not look great aesthetically, but just monitor yourself going down the line. You don't have to kill yourself to run hard on a ground out. The bigger thing is that we have him for as many of our 162 as we can get.
That's a great point, and it's one of the things that Scott has to trust, also putting him in the lineup, that he's going to do that. Maybe you can because he's a veteran guy, but that was the case before he even hurt his ankle. He had the quad issue, still hit 2 home runs in the first 2 games. Let's get him back in the lineup.
That's right. Now we'll go to double whammy. He's got the quad. I think the thing with Nelly is he's just such a smart player. He understands the game. He understands himself, and I think it's very hard for him because, as you know, watching him for these last 4 years, he hits a ground ball, he runs hard to first base. First to third, he runs hard. He may not be the fastest guy on the team, but he's going to run as hard as anybody.
D. Gordon exceeding expectations
by quite a bit.
Yeah.
He's it's amazing what he does, and whether it's the catalyst at the top of the lineup or what he's done defensively or what he does on the bases. And I think when we've seen him at first base, and the beneficiaries of being Gene Segura and Robinson Cano, because it creates distraction for the pitcher. Even in an instance when he's not stealing a base, he creates enough distraction for the opposing pitcher that these guys get better pitches to hit.
Simeon out to Haniger in right field. Settles underneath for round number 1. I'll get Joyce back to first base. Now, Jerry, when you made the trade to bring Ben Gamble to the Mariners, now he had a fine minor league career in the minor league system with the Yankees. It was the International League Player of the Year. Is that right?
In fact, he was.
When the trade was made. Did you ever imagine that he would come to Seattle, have such grand success, that he would have 15,000 ball cap wigs in his honor at the ballpark?
The first time I found out that his hair looked such as it does was the day he showed up here with the because his hair did not look like that when he played for the Yankees.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, it was a brand new thing.
He was suddenly allowed to be himself. We were, of course, hoping that we would be able to see Ben in uniform on the field tonight, as it does time up with his cap night. But it sounds like that's been pushed back a little bit, but it does sound like we will see him at some point this homestand.
I believe we will. My guess is that we will see him early in the Houston series, and we're really looking forward to getting Ben back. He brings a degree of energy, but right now what we're trying to remember most with Ben is that he just didn't have a spring training.
Off Gordon's glove. Joyce first to third. Meanwhile, Lowry into second base.
Just as we finish gushing.
Yeah.
Probably the first ball that I can honestly say that D's made a mistake on this year, truly, from opening day.
We'll take a look at it. He gets there in plenty of time. Just right off the thumb of his glove. He was probably just as surprised as everybody else to see it drop to the ground.
Now the one out that puts 2 in scoring position for the A's and brings up Chris Davis. But you were saying about Ben Gamble, eager to have him back, obviously.
Very, and he should be back. We're anticipating him being back either Monday, Tuesday, sometime there, 6th, 17th, 18th. Should be back in the lineup. We're really looking forward to getting him out there, and he really extends the bottom half of our lineup. And when Ben's going good, Ben can swing the bat with anybody.
And Mike Zunino.
Mike, we're also hoping, maybe not toward the beginning of the Houston series, but either toward the end of this homestand or as we get right onto the first road trip. I anticipate he'll play against the Astros or Texas. I just don't know in which order.
Yeah, it's something that we're all looking forward to, because if you look at the lineup, all these guys are really swinging the bat well, especially 1 through 5. And you mentioned the Lincoln lineup. We haven't really seen that yet, which will be a lot of fun, because I think they've really done, well, one, they've done a nice job winning 6 out of the first 10 when you consider everything that has gone to. And you and I talked about a little bit with the schedule and the weather and the guys that have been hurt. But That'll be fun to see all of those guys in there at one time.
And we do anticipate sometime by mid-April being at full strength, because Ryan Healy's making pretty quick progress on his way back from injury as well.
What has it, Jerry, in your eyes, that's been most impressive about what you guys have been able to do so far this season, given the limitations of the healthy players that have been able to be penciled in by Scott Service, and also, obviously, this is not an ideal way to start the season in terms of the schedule. Your first 2 road trips are both 3-city trips, and we know the complications of the first road trip.
You know, I think the weather certainly hasn't helped us. The schedule with so many built-in off days, we can sit here and say it hasn't really allowed us to get in a rhythm, particularly with our pitching. But it's also saved us from having to use a 5th starter to this point, in addition to saving us. We've played fewer games than anybody in the league, and in essence, that may be an advantage to us, because right now half our lineup is out, one of our starters is down, and we're a little bit banged up in the bullpen, leaving after the loss of David Phillips, Nick Rumolo, and having lost Tony Zick for the season, ultimately, by releasing him. And I think the end result for us is that 10 games in, we've been able to win 60% of the games to this point without having our full team, and we should have them back shortly.
Your impressions of the bullpen so far?
You know, it's been a little uneven. First, I will say that Edwin Diaz, Dan Altavilla have been spectacular. We've seen an uptick in Juan Nicasio's stuff each time he's been out there. Juan had a really good spring, got off to a little bit of a rocky start, and has shown a tendency to create a little bit of a mess, but has shown the physical stuff and the wherewithal to stick it through and get the job done. I think they've done a nice job. We've done what we can do to get them some consistency in terms of how they're getting in games. It looks a little funky to see that we've played 10 games and they've appeared in as many as they have, but I think that's more a sample of the schedule we've played with so many. I think we've only played back-to-back days twice this year, which is phenomenal.
That's amazing, yeah.
2 in scoring position, 1 out here, and Davis down swinging. That's a big out, number 2. And so as we see a breaking ball there from Leake, this is a conversation Mike and I have had on the air a couple of times recently. If you take a look at this put-away pitch from Leake. Last year, 4 teams in baseball with a higher percentage of breaking balls than fastballs. And when you look around baseball, obviously that wipeout breaking ball not only has become more popular, but it's become more popular in terms of throwing it more than a fastball. What are you kind of making of this shift that we're seeing?
You know, it's definitely hard to hit a breaking ball, particularly the guys. And you know, I'll cite, because it's a team we see frequently, the Houston Astros, with guys like Lance McCullers, now Garrett Cole, who's seen a big paradigm shift in the way he uses his stuff in just his couple 3 starts with the Astros, and in a productive way. Same with Charlie Morton. They've done a phenomenal job of identifying guys with breaking balls and then amplifying those breaking balls. Now, it remains to be seen if that is a smart move in the long run. That it is harder on the arm to throw a breaking ball that frequently. But you know, at the end of the day, identifying what a pitcher does well and how that matches up versus the opposing lineup is the easier part. The long-term ramifications of that kind of pitch mix, I'm not entirely sure. Some pitchers are more predisposed to being capable of doing that. I think you're seeing that with guys with Houston. You know, it's not necessarily that way for everybody.
Olsen, fly ball out to Ichiro, and the threat has come to a close. 2 men left in scoring position. Jerry, as always, thanks for the time, man.
You got it.
Jerry DePoto, Mariners general manager.
All right, bro.
We go to the bottom of the 3rd, all time. Well, no matter your hairstyle, it's always a great time to play Washington's lottery. Just imagine what you do if you won.
Do we flip again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ready, go.
Cano leads off the bottom of the third. Followed by Haniger and Seager. Curveball misses inside for ball one.
Robbie with a base hit his first time up, scored the second run for the Mariners. He's reached base safely in all 11 games. Hits in 10 of them. I thought it was interesting listening to Jerry talk about the breaking ball. Guys not throwing their fastball quite as much, even though we've seen the velocities go up in the game overall. And, you know, you look at what's happening right now and the numbers that's going on and how difficult it is to hit. But I like the point that he made is it's been a short period of time, and you have to wait and see what the overall health of the pitcher is going to be throwing that many breaking balls. You mentioned McCullers, he throws them all the time. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. That curveball is just vicious. Robbie ahead 3-0 here. They thought that was ball four right there at the top, 3-1. And I think this is, I wish we had a chance to ask Jerry more about this. I think it's fair to say, Mike, and you certainly know better than I do, that there are certain teams that are, quote, more susceptible to the spin, right? Just based on the lineup. Some teams that will have a harder time against that curveball than other teams. And
yes,
I'm a bit curious as to how much a pitcher will kind of tailor their arsenal in that given series based on that particular matchup versus a week from now against a team that maybe hits the curveball better and has a harder time with velocity.
Well, it was interesting to me is with Jerry, and this was over a year ago, talking to him about, and you mentioned the trends now, but talking to him about spin rate, and as they look at different pitchers, and maybe the first thing you think of is velocity. And how hard are they throwing? But really, they want to see the baseball spin, and I believe it is it Morton with Houston is one of those guys that can really spin it, as opposed to just the overall velocity of the baseball. And I think that's an interesting way to look at it, because it used to be get somebody that has the big arm, and then we'll teach them to throw a curveball or a slider or whatever it's going to be.
Well, I find that Charlie Morton, and we will, it looks like, see Charlie Morton when the when the Astros come to town for those 4 games. I find the Charlie Morton case study almost comical from the standpoint of, here's a guy who, when he was in the National League with the Pirates, was a 2-seam guy, a pitch to contact guy, and then all of a sudden somebody said, hey, why don't you try throwing a 4-seamer? Oh, you mean I can throw 98 by doing that? As Cano gets aboard for the second time. It almost sounds too easy. Well, now through June 3rd, fans ride free to and from the Mariners games on Link Light Rail. Show your ticket to the game for a round-trip ride on the Link, courtesy of the Mariners. The improved stadium station, just 15 minutes from the UW station and 33 from Angle Lake. Visit mariners.com/go for info.
Well, and then on the other side of it too, when you think of a spin rate, it makes you, I think, first and foremost think of the breaking ball. But talking another breaking ball. But talking to Jim Brower on one of the telecasts this spring, he was talking about it also including the fastball and that extra carry that you get. So you go from a 2-seamer. Casey Lawrence was somebody that we talked about with this, sinking the fastball to where if he throws his 4-seamer at the top of the strike zone, has extra life to it, and it's because of that spin on the fastball, which is a different way to look at it also.
Another, by the way, from Jerry's conversation, you mentioned Garrett Cole. The Astros have won tonight. They edged the Rangers 3-2. Garrett Cole, 14 punch-outs, a walk, 2 runs over 7. Cole now with 36 strikeouts in 3 starts, 11, 11, and 14.
You see right there, 2-0 count. Normally you would think fastball. Ford tricks his fastball at 90 miles an hour, but he misses with the breaking ball off the plate to Mitch Haniger. Haniger had a base hit his first time up. Drove in a run.
The 3-1. Makes it a full count. Seager, the RBI double back in the first inning. He's on deck. The 3-2. Rattled foul. You do have to be excited by this lineup and what it will look like when it is at full strength for the Mariners. And a big piece likely coming back tomorrow, it sounds like, in Nelson. Chapman, the third baseman, on the mound. Run number 1. Robbie, after the walk, stays put at first base. Here comes Seager. Back to Seager's run-scoring double. That brought home Robbie from second. Tied the game up. Kyle looks at strike 1. Last year, the Mariners had won 8 straight games against the A's until their final meeting with Oakland. It turned out to be a 1-run loss. For the most part, last 5 years, Mariners a winning record against Oakland.
Triggs throwing a lot of pitches. 58 pitches, 40 strikes, so a lot of strikes. Mariners just making them work.
A lengthy first inning. 7-batter first for the Mariners. Kyle ahead 2-1. Down by the foul pole, but hooking foul. Count levels out 2-2 on Seager.
Well, this is on a breaking ball that he's out in front of. Let's catch it on the barrel, though. Look at the defense.
About a lot of pitches, 3 straight full count from Triggs. Now Bob Melvin, you look at this rotation for the A's, he has not had much length out of it recently. They've hardly had a starter reach the 6th inning or finish the 6th inning, which maybe is not that odd anymore, to be honest with you.
In today's game, no, probably isn't.
A's, like many, an 8-man bullpen. Another 20-pitch inning here for Triggs. And a bullpen for the A's, by the way, that features Emilio Pagan, a former Mariner that really put up some nice numbers for the Mariners last year. He was traded over to Oakland for Ryan Healy. There's Emilio. Emilio tenderizing his left leg. Hope that works out. shot to center. And Smolenski able to settle underneath for out number 2. Well, time to take a look at our Geico this date in big league history. It involves the A's, and we'll go back to 1970. Now, can you imagine a world, Mike, with gold-colored bases? Because that is what the A's did on April the 13th, 1970, in a season-opening win over Milwaukee. Research would suggest that that was a one-game-only thing.
I doubt that they asked for permission either.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, just run them out there.
Forgiveness much easier. It did not happen again. Ball one to Vogelbach. The Mariners left 2 men in scoring position in the first. They left a man at second base in the second. They have Cano at first base here. Stopped by Lucroy, 2-0. Robbie on base for the second time already tonight. To the point of the shift. Lowry on at first base in time for the out. Semien there at the point of the triangle to make that play. And that will end the third inning. What a fine play. Cano stranded. We go to the fourth. Up that two-run home run in the first inning, but boy, some fancy pitching to get out of the third.
Yeah, location with a fastball to Chris Davis was the 2-run home run, but the last couple of innings has really thrown the ball well. Has a good feel for his cut fastball tonight. Missed with that breaking ball to start things off here in the top of the fourth. But starting to mix it up.
Matt Chapman, third baseman for the A's, leading things off. Up the middle, base hit. Leadoff man aboard for the A's to begin the fourth inning. Well, the reigning World Series champion Houston Astros arrive here in Seattle starting Monday for a 4-game AL West showdown with the Mariners. Jose Altuve and the Astros meet up with Robinson Cano and the Mariners in a can't-miss series. You can pick up your tickets at mariners.com. Our first look at Houston so far this season. Heck, tonight the first game for the Mariners in the division. Leadoff man aboard for Jonathan Lucroy. Chapman taken off as this pitch is skied. Cano. 1 out. One out, 1 on. Look at consecutive starts. At least 5 innings pitched, 3 runs or fewer. Leak now a 7-game streak, trying to catch up to Charlie Morton of the Astros. Kluber far and away top the pack with 15 straight rather. Ball went to Piscotty. Piscotty's big league career got off to a fantastic start with the Cardinals. 282 hitter and on base of about 350. Really struggled last season. Just 9 home runs, hit beneath 240. Stanford product, former first-round draft pick by St. Louis, and coming back home to the Bay Area. His mother Gretchen suffering from ALS. The Cardinals sending him to Oakland to help him be part of family a little bit more. Pretty important time for the Piscotty family. You go back, you look at that big contract that Jason Hayward signed with the Chicago Cubs a few years ago. The reason why the Cardinals were able to let him go was because of this guy right here, Piscotty.
Well, he had a base hit his first time up, but off to a little bit of a slow start this year.
2-1. Center field. D. Gordon having to put on the Jets. Played on a bounce. Chapman into third base. A's runners on the corners. Piscotty 2 for 2.
One of the things that we talked about with D. Gordon in center field is right off the end of the bat, a broken bat base hit. But for D, doing the right thing. He has a strong throwing arm, and I think he was probably tempted to try to make the throw to third base. You take a look at Chapman going around. But with 1 out, get the ball into second base, keep the double play in order, especially with Mike Leake on the mound. But it's the right play to make instead of trying to throw the lead runner out.
Jake Smolenski, a strikeout victim back in the second. That's here with runners on the corners. Go ahead run. Chapman 90 feet from home now. Seager on a Cano. On to first.
Perfect.
Double play. Just what you were talking about. Fine work. Leak the double play to end the inning and get the Mariners out of the threat. Tell the future. We take a look at our Coors Light refreshing finish.
Well, I think it's just understanding what's going on. You have the number 9 hitter that was coming up. Talked about D getting the ball back into second base. If he tries to throw the ball over to third, probably is not going to get him. It would have been close. But then Piscotty will be able to move up into second base, and then you don't have the double play option with Mike Leake, the veteran. Gets the ground ball that he wants. Have him hit it over to the Gold Glover and Kyle Seager. And Cano finishing the double play. So it was well done all the way around.
And I got to hear about it the entire commercial break.
No, you were asking me about it. And I told you. I was trying to explain it to you.
This is just another day in the life.
Fundamental baseball there.
There's Margema. Bottom third of the order due up for the Mariners. Margema with 3 hits so far this year. They've all been doubles. Splitting time with David Freitas. Triggs, bare hand, whips a toss to first base in time. Olsen able to keep planted on the bag. Now number 1. Well, Thursday the 19th, the Mariners take on the Astros at a special 12:40 start time. It's the perfect opportunity to take a 9-inning lunch and sample some of the new ballpark fare from Din Tai Fung, Jack's Barbecue, and much more. Tickets at Mariners.com. I had Din Tai Fung for dinner tonight. And you know, I got to tell you, I had the thought when I was sitting here in the booth, what would that have been, about 90 minutes before first pitch?
I'd say that's about right.
Ichiro in play. Simeon, 2 outs. I thought, what a great world this is we live in, that I'm sitting inside a ballpark in a broadcast booth, the best seat in the house, eating Din Tai Fung, wontons and soup. I mean, this is...
You seem to be enjoying it.
I was very happy. I was very happy.
That was evident.
Doesn't get much better than that. Here's Andrew Romar. And we've come a long way since just the run-of-the-mill hot dog. I thought that's a bad thing. I am eager to try Jack's Barbecue out there in the pen. 2 outs for Andrew Romine. One and one. Not many at-bats so far for Romine this season. Looking for his first hit in a Mariners uniform.
Talked about it with Triggs having to throw a lot of pitches, but really settling in with a walk in the third. Trying the last 5 and looks as if he's getting better command of his breaking ball.
Inside, 2-2. Now, if Romine can reach, D. Gordon would bat next. It'll be already his 3rd time up in 4 innings. Rolled over to first base. Olsen handles it smoothly. And for the first time, the side is retired in order. 4 innings complete, tied at 2. 5th. Well, time to take a look at our CenturyLink What's Next. Next 2 games in this set against the A's. Marco Gonzalez going tomorrow night for the Mariners. Our broadcast begins at 5:30. He'll be taking on Kendall Graveman. And then the King on Sunday. 12:30 our broadcast begins, going up against Sean Manaea. That should be a fantastic pitching matchup.
Third time through the lineup for Mike Leake. Take a look at the defense. Matt Joyce, the leadoff hitter. On base a couple of times, reached with a base hit and also walked.
Two and two. Joyce walked back in the 3rd, now full count. Romine at first base, handles this himself. 1 out. Romine's first start at first this year. 1 up, 1 down for Marcus Semien. For the Mariners, this 3-game series and the 4-game set against the Astros. Oh, Mike, it seems a little odd, although I'm guessing that the Mariners, the guys, would probably rather have fewer trips but in longer duration, right? So you're leaving Seattle fewer times, but you're seeing more cities over the course of 1 trip. The Mariners will have their 2nd straight 3-city trip at the end of this homestand. Mariners overall, you're looking at 10 games at home in the first month of the season.
Well, the thing that you'll also know is that eventually that's going to have to even out, so you're going to have some long home stands, and I think that's something that they look forward to. We talked about the schedule, and once they finish June, it's really in their favor as far as the amount of travel that they have to do. So I think they'll appreciate that too.
Especially bring up June, especially when it comes to getting too far outside the time zone.
Right, exactly.
Now full counts to each of the first 2 hitters. Lowry is on deck. The payoff. A 1-out walk. Semien reaches for the first time.
And it used to be that way before interleague play. I mean, we would go back east and see Boston, New York, Baltimore, maybe even sometimes make it a 4-city trip. It's a long time. It's a long time to be on the road, but then it comes back your way later on where you could stay at home for almost a couple of weeks during the season. And you take care of a lot of business while you're out on that trip all the way east.
Mariners will be headed to Arlington, Chicago, and Cleveland on the next road trip, but home for a week.
We talked about the breaking ball tonight in today's game. The amount of velocity that we see pretty much every single night is kind of interesting to watch. Leake and Triggs both go about their business tonight. Both of them, their fastball right around 90. But clearly mixing it up. With Mike, he has basically 5 different pitches that he will throw. He's using them all tonight. A bit different than what we're used to seeing. A real good feel for his changeup tonight, and that cut fastball away from the right-handers.
Two.
Used to hear a lot about striking guys out, wipe out pitches, and Now we're starting to hear pitch to contact a little bit more because they're trying to find starters to get deeper into games, and that's the way that Mike does it.
Well, it's nice when your starter can go 5 innings.
I mean, you know.
Or, you know, to get crazy going to the 6th.
Yeah. That's where the game has changed.
Bangs it back, strike 3 call.
That was a good pitch with the fastball. Jed didn't like it, but it was a good pitch.
Silver Bullet Saturday is new and improved. Join the party of the pin on Saturday. Download the Coors Light XP app and win exciting prizes. Plus, fans 21 and older get $8 20-ounce Coors Light drafts at the Coors Light Rail Bar up until first pitch. Or anytime you can get a big league hitter, especially to the experience level of Jed Lowry, bending back like that on a pitch, you're doing something right.
And it's an 89-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner. Probably above the belt. Excellent pitch.
2 out, Simeon aboard. Here is Davis. First offering. D. Gordon curls underneath. Top of the 5th comes to a close. Simeon stranded. Go to the home half. Bourbon, you can't spell baseball without BSB. Rainy night in Seattle. The roof closed. Mariners and the A's even at 2. Top of the order due up for the Mariners. Gordon doubled his last time up to extend his hitting streak to 11 games. Let's go back to last year's 17-game hitting streak for D. Waving after it, 3 pitches, all strikes. 4th strikeout for Triggs. Well, this Sunday when the M's host Oakland at 1:10, your chance to take advantage of BECU value game savings. Fans can score select bleacher or view seats for $15 and man or club seats for just $30. Head to Mariners.com for tickets. Segura. by Chapman, the third baseman. Long stretch by Olsen, 2 outs.
Both starters have really settled in. Triggs, through a couple of games, came in with a 2.5 ERA. League right at 3. Pretty routine play right here for Chapman at third base. But both of them trying to keep the ball on the ground, mixing it up, throwing all their pitches for strikes, and expand the zone at times. Both of them with a fastball right around 90.
That's 8 in a row set down by Triggs now. Surprise Robbie off to a good start tonight. A single, a walk, and a run scored. We've seen some shifts against Cano, Mike, and
surprising.
Looking it up today, he's pulled only 25% of balls he's put in play this year. Now that's down somewhat significantly from last year. We'll see if those numbers increase as the months go on. But A's playing him straight up.
Yeah, I was surprised to see it on the road trip. I think for Robbie, when you look at his career, hit 300, typically you got to use the entire ballpark, and he's been one of the best at that.
And he and Scott Sturgis have made the comment time and time again over the years that Robbie's at his best when he's going the opposite way. That's when you really know that he's dialed in. Two on Cano. Haniger has been holding down the cleanup duties. He's on deck. When you think about Nelson Cruz coming back and how much his presence means to this lineup, focus only on Nelson for the most part, and what you forget is that now you got guys like Haniger who now go down a spot. Same story when you add the other pieces like Zunino, like Healy. You're talking to Jerry about the length of this lineup, what it can be. Cano on for the third time, his second walk.
You're right about that with Haniger. When he drops out of the cleanup spot and you move him down, he's second on the club already in RBIs. And you're talking about him hitting 6th or 7th.
Well, time for Snoqualmie Casino around the league. Now the Red Sox off to a fantastic start. 7-3 winners over the Orioles. Blue Jays doubling up the Indians. We were telling you earlier about the Astros and Garrett Cole. Cole striking out 14 tonight. 1-run win over the Rangers. Strike one to Haniger.
Be interesting that you mentioned him to look at the numbers, because I'm not sure if it was after his first start, maybe his second, but they were talking about him using his breaking ball more than he had been over the last couple of years. Obviously he has the big time fastball.
Talking about Garrett Cole?
Yes. And see what those numbers are looking like when he comes into town in this next series.
Pitches now for Triggs. 0-2 to Haniger. We're talking about the Rangers. We've seen the Rangers on the next road trip. They are about as banged up as the Mariners are. The lineup to Shields on the disabled list for a significant amount of time.
I saw Odor.
Coulomb warming up. Odor, Elvis Andrews, a very serious elbow injury. Fortunately will not require surgery, but he's out for at least 6 weeks. Doug Fister on the shelf. Two and two. Lucroy's been busy. That walk by Cano, by the way, snapped the 8th in a row set down by Triggs. Chapman, long throw to first base. Out number 3. Cano stranded. We've played 5 from Safeco Field, tied at 2. Brought to you by Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by Amtrak Cascades. What a beautiful way to travel. Visit AmtrakCascades.com. Mariners and the A's even at 2. On to the 6th. Strike one to Olsen.
And another good changeup. Well, Mike, 76 pitches in pretty good shape overall. What was his pitch count? Maybe it for Triggs, closing in on 100 pitches. Okay, getting loose again in the pen for the A's. Take a look at the Mariners defense. No surprise to see the outfielders playing deep.
Three pitches, all strikes. Finishes them off with the curveball. Here's out number 1. We'll go to the Ford Sports Desk and check in with Angie.
Aaron, it's not like I think of myself as a follower, but I like to see that so many people are of the same mindset as I am tonight, and that is everybody loving the Ben Gamel Cap Night. The hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Jeanette's whole family has got the cap on there. It's the same story with Megan. ATI Physical Therapy Night here at the ballpark as well. Everybody here sporting their Ben Gamel cap, and remember to use that hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. But Aaron, I will remind everybody, when they do use that hashtag, it does give us permission to use their photo and their photo of them with the Ben Gamel cap on.
All right, thank you, Angie. We roll the ball 1-1 to Chapman.
Mike not happy about it, and I don't blame him. Looked like a pretty good pitch.
To center, trouble for Gordon. D at the wall, gone. Second home run for the A's. Chapman's 5th already this season. Oakland back on top, 3-2. Boy, nothing cheap there.
No, it gives it a pretty good ride on a cool evening. Hit it out into the pen. Not an easy thing to do, but this pitch out over the plate. Full extension, and that is right on the barrel as you take a look at D. Not much of a chance.
Not sure if the refund policy's out there in the pen, but there are more beverages to be had. Two 2-0 on Lucroy. Seager, self-defense. Watch out. Count okay. Lucroy aboard. That's a base hit for Lucroy. That came up on Seager quick.
Couldn't tell if it hit the cut of the grass or not. A lot of top spin to it. Kyle, one of the best at fielding this, and that definitely fooled him. It kicked back on him. And then he was just trying to protect himself. Pretty fortunate to get some leather on it.
Scotty fouls out the first pitch. Glad to see Seager all right. So you say you want to play third base. To Ichiro and left. 2 outs. That brings up Jake Smolinski, the number 9 hitter. Center fielder for the A's. And Altavilla beginning to get loose. Ahead now 0-2 on Smolinski. Struck him out back in the second. Leak with 4 strikeouts, matching his season total. Leaks 0-2.
No surprise to see him throw a couple of pitches out of the strike zone, try to get him to chase it. Try to make a pitch on the corner right here. And you can see it's been a couple of home runs for the A's that have hurt him.
A time call. Gets away from Arjuma, and with that, Lucroy easily into second base.
That'll be a wild pitch. Like a breaking ball in the dirt.
First this year for Mike Leake. I know everybody is trying to hit home runs 1 through 9, but you would think tonight kind of a rare night for Leake, giving up multiple home runs. This is a guy who last year was one of the best ground ball pitchers in the game out of any rotation. Two outs, a man at second, the 3-2. Ball foul.
We showed you Dan warming up in the pen. Now 93 pitches.
backhand. Segura on the money to first. Lucroy stranded. A run comes in on Chapman's blast. His 5th already this season, and the A's have taken the lead back. Seattle Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Steel. To find your local Steel dealer, visit steeldealers.com. And by CHI Franciscan Health, the Mariners' official partner in health. Get your guide to living Northwest healthy at nwhealthy.org/Mariners. Inside Safeco Field, Mariners trailing now the A's 3-2. Andrew Triggs might give up those 2 runs in the first and then scoreless over his next 4 innings. Triggs done for the night.
Yeah, really settled in. 5 innings, 5 hits. The Mariners made him work 93 pitches through the 5 innings, but he is out of the ball game, so maybe they can get something going against the bullpen.
And Ryan Buckner, one of 2 lefties in the A's bullpen, now up on the mound.
Fastball, curveball for him. His fastball right around 92 miles an hour. Off to a pretty strong start this year with the A's.
And a strike to Seager. You don't hear of too many 33rd round draft picks that go on to make about 150 big league appearances out of the bullpen, but that is the case for Buckner. It's been last year with the Padres and the Royals. One and 2 on Kyle.
Well, I think left-handed, pretty good fastball at 92 miles an hour. Haven't seen his curveball yet. And he throws strikes. There's a job for him.
Seager, Vogelback, and Marchima here in the 6th. A's do have Petit warming up. Yusmeiro Petit, a right-hander, getting loose. Full count. Vogelback on deck. side. Lowry able to get to it, and a wild throw. And he did the hard part.
Looks like a really good play by Lucroy, the catcher. As you take a look, Lowry diving catch, wild throw at first base. First baseman Olson started after the ball and then was a little bit late getting back to the bag. Lowry just kind of rushed it. Good hustle by Kyle, but I'm not sure that may have gone into the dugout. But Lucroy was there to back it up. Give Kyle a base hit.
First pitch to Vogelback. Ball one. A multi-hit game now for Seager. The double, now the infield single.
Talked a lot about the first four hitters in the lineup, but Kyle's starting to get it locked in. Again, he leads the club in RBIs now. A couple of hits today, including a double.
The 1-1. There's Petit.
He's ready to go.
Right-handed bat of Mike Margema on deck. Now Seager's had a tendency to start a little slow first month of the season, but we have seen how he can absolutely carry this club in stretches. Seager back in time at first.
A pretty good move. A bit of a hesitation from Kyle to dive back into first base, trying to read it.
Saw Chris Prieto over there at first base. I have not had a chance to talk to Chris since getting back home, but that road trip did make me wonder if Chris was regretting the decision of going from Mariners replay coordinator inside to first base coach after being out in Minnesota and Kansas City. Maybe being inside wasn't so bad after all.
No, I think he's happy to be out on the field. He was stuck in the dungeon for a while.
The one perk of the dungeon, you don't need hand warmers. It is nice to breathe some fresh air. Anthony Suzuki now handling the replay duties for the Mariners, and Chris Weller in promotion. A long hold, and another 1-2. Strike three call. One out, one on for Mike Margema. He will face a lefty.
Ichiro on deck, so Bob Melvin going to stay with the left-hander. Even though Petit ready to go in the pen. You mentioned it earlier, 3 hits for him, all of them doubles. He'll take a double right now. straight up in the outfield.
Big rip for strike one. Seager the base hit to begin the inning. I have to think for Margim, one of the highlights from the road trip was the opening day festivities in San Francisco. He's a Sacramento kid. When John Miller announced his name, Miller was the on-field MC for both sides, introducing everyone involved. Yeah, no doubt Margim heard plenty growing up as a kid.
You would think so.
2-2. Now, the Hall of Fame voice of the Giants has had a number of different employers over the course of his fantastic career, but he's been in San Francisco for a while now.
Dan Altavilla still up in the pen, so I would guess Mike Leake probably done for the evening. Ichiro waits on deck.
Zipchinski there too. Olsen, foul ground, has room. 2 outs. Two outs for Ichiro. Ichiro, a couple of ground outs tonight. To the hotel in San Francisco, shared an elevator with Ichiro, who was carrying a bat, and we asked him, "Hey Ichiro, what's up with the bat?"
Good question.
He just looked at us and said, "To swing in my room."
He's not the first one to do that.
Yeah, but you know, the idea of Ichiro in a suite in San Francisco swinging a bat and trying to
in front of the mirror.
Yeah, trying to avoid the vases and everything else.
Maybe not.
Strike 3 call. That'll do it for the Mariners. A couple of strikeouts looking. We're through 6. Mariners 3-2. Mike Leake done for the night. Just a couple of home runs, Mike. That was the Achilles heel for Mike this evening.
Yeah, you can see the 94 pitches through the 6 innings, 7 hits for him. A couple of walks, 4 strikeouts. But you're right, it was the 2 home runs, 2-run home run in the first from Davis. Then the solo home run from Chapman out to left center field. That was in the 6th inning to give the A's the lead.
And leads us to our Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. Dan Altavilla on to work for the Mariners.
And Dan has really thrown the ball well. You can see 5 outings for him. A 1.8 ERA, 7 strikeouts in the 5 innings that he has worked. Mid to upper 90s with his fastball and a hard slider. At the top of the lineup, Matt Joyce going to lead things off.
With that 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-0. This time missing with the slider. Mariners happy to be back home after that long 3-city road trip. It turned out to be a winning road trip for the Mariners. Tonight beginning a week-long homestand. It's a strike over that time at 95. Took something off. A's getting all 3 of their runs on 2 homers. Leadoff walk. Joyce reaches forward the 3rd time. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Leadoff man aboard for Semien.
Dan messing with a slider, tough time with the strike zone. 6 pitches, just 1 strike.
That time given a strike, 1-1. Altavilla had walked only 1 batter so far this year over his first 5 outings. Check swing, strike. Look at the last time out for Altavilla. Inherited a couple of runners. Did not allow either to score, but did have some trouble with command in that outing. That being said, did not give up a run. Really, it was the first time all year we'd seen Altavilla struggle with command. Joyce down to second.
What a good play by Mike. As a base runner, if you see that the ball is going to go in the dirt, you're taught to take off right away. And this ball is in the dirt. You can see Mike making the block, stays right in front of him, but he gets up quickly. He's a good athlete and a strong throw. He's out by a couple of steps. Easy play for Robbie.
Races that leadoff walk. Strike 3 call. 96 at the knees. 2 outs.
Well, after a number of sliders, goes back to the fastball. Simeon thought that pitch was down, but you can see it's right at the knees.
Two out, space is empty for Jet Lowry. Yeah, strike one. Segura was over in the shift. Makes the catch. And despite that leadoff walk, Altavilla faces the minimum in the top of the 7th. This time to stretch. Take me out to play Washington's lottery. Mariners trailing the A's 3-2 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Now be sure to stick around after the game for Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines. New pitcher up on the mound is Merrill Petit, will work for the A's.
Fastball, cutter, curve, changeup for him. His fastball, 89, 90 miles an hour. 7 appearances on the year. 3.24 ERA for him. 8 1/3. Opponent hitting 273. He's given up 1 home run. Typically, he'll go with his changeup to left-handers. Use the cutter and the curve a little bit more to the righties.
Romine fouls it back. Shoelaces. 1 out. A little chilly here tonight. Going to have to be bundled up inside the ballpark. Mariners with the A's here in game 1. More activity inside the bullpen. Jason Bradford, Juan Nicasio getting loose. Elsewhere tonight around the division, Angels winning in Kansas City. They squeaked by the Royals 5-4. Also, Astros edging past the Rangers 3-2. Mariners just saw a former Mariner, Brandon Maurer, for the Royals there in Kansas City. Steve's not too pleased with that call. Maurer had a tough time recently, a couple of rough outings. He just optioned down to AAA.
to be able to command the strike zone, and he was struggling with that. First pitch today was a changeup, Daniel.
Bunt dropped. Chapman in stride. Oh my goodness, what a play. That is incredible.
I would say with most, using your glove on that bump play, pretty good idea. But with D, I thought there was a chance for him to beat it out. Chapman, a strong throwing arm. He gets rid of it quickly. Half a step. Good play.
He's so fluid. That's impressive. It's not many times where a ball does not leave the infield and you say a guy got robbed of a base hit.
That is true.
That's what we're saying here.
Yeah, and you'll see that a number of times over the course of the summer. Lee Gordon will put pressure on the defense.
The Mariners just have simply not had many opportunities in this one since the very early innings. They've not had a man in scoring position since the second. In fact, the only base hit they've had since the second inning was a Seager base hit and barely got out of the infield on a ball that was really thrown away by Lowry. Semien with the harpoon. Segura aboard with 2 outs. Infield base hit for Gene Segura, his second hit tonight.
Bob Melvin quickly out of the dugout.
Melvin going to the bullpen. Tie and run for the Mariners on base. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Now D. Gordon robbed of a bunt base hit. We go back and look at the fantastic play by Chapman at third. D as surprised as anyone. After Gordon, though, Segura an infield base hit, and that brings on Danny Coulombe to face Cano.
7 innings, 7 strikeouts for him, just 1 walk. Giving up a home run. Fastball at 89 miles an hour, slider curve. Robbie has faced him 8 times, has a couple of hits.
run Coulomb has given up this year has been to a left-handed bat. Ball one. Robbie has been on base every time up tonight. Gets out of the way, 2-0. Mariners only 2 runs coming back in the first. Tying run Segura at first base. And now 3-0 on a couple of pitches that have barely missed.
And Scott will let him swing. It's a fastball that he likes. He'll turn him loose. Mitch Haniger waiting on deck.
The 3-0.
Down to the outer half of the plate. Trying to look for something middle in. Something he can turn on. Wasn't going to be that.
Cano the go-ahead run. Full count.
Came back with a breaking ball, but it was elevated in the middle of the plate. Pretty good pitch for him to hit. Aggressive swing. I think he tried to lose it. The Mariners the lead. Take another look at the swing on this breaking ball at 83. He had out in front too, just missed it.
The 3-2. Mariners have a couple on. And Cano, the third walk he's drawn, on base for the 4th time.
And Bob Melvin out of the dugout. Gonna make another change.
Looks like he's got Chris Hatcher, a right-hander, getting loose to face Mitch Haniger. Will step aside. second base, and Gene Segura. Well, fans, as we continue our annual Ultimate Northwest Fan Contest this season, we'd like to extend an invitation to all Northwest sports fans to join us on July 7th right here at beautiful Safeco Field. Receive a view-level ticket and your choice of an Ultimate Northwest t-shirt for just $19 or a main-level season t-shirt for $37. When you purchase through the special offer. For details, visit mariners.com/ultimate. Let's see the beard hat. Still going strong. Need it on a night like this. New pitcher up on the mound, Chris Hatcher.
Fastball, cutter, split. Pretty good fastball at 94 miles an hour. You look at his numbers overall this year. High ERA for him. He's given up some hits, including a home run. Mitch Haniger has faced him a couple of times. He's 1 for 2.
Haniger looks at ball 1. Now this inning was prolonged by the infield base hit from Segura. Then Cano drew the walk. Segura at second base, tying run. Two and 0.
Chris Hatcher, he will use his cut fastball a little bit more to the right-handers. Try to make a pitch away from it. A bit of a mistake. Look where he set up on the outside corner, and that was on the inside corner. Looks like Mitch drove in a run all the way back in the first inning.
Depending on how this game looks in the very late innings, well, if we go extra innings, Bob Melvin has burned both of his lefties now. Two and 2.
Pretty good fastball at 96 miles an hour. Not many opportunities for the Mariners tonight. Just 2 for 5 runners in scoring position.
Still 2-2. Now for the Mariners, this is the first time they've had a runner in scoring position since the second inning. Let's go back to D. Gordon's hustle doubled in that second. Now Segura there. It's been nothing but walks and infield singles since then. Trying to get on the same page. And now Lucroy, the same story. Safe to say, Mike, that the mound visit rule has been a complete non-factor so far this year in terms of any team, at least that the Mariners have been involved with, coming anywhere close.
No, not even close.
2-2. Thumped left field. Mitch Haniger over the fence. Go ahead home run.
That's what we're used to seeing out of the cleanup spot.
Number 3 of the season for Mitch Haniger.
4 RBIs in the game. Talked about Hatcher, and they kept setting up away, and he was missing on the inner half of the plate, and that's what's going to happen right here.
Our Columbia Bank difference of the game.
And it'll be a fastball, 92 miles an hour. And he drops the barrel on it as he hits it back into the bullpen, the A's bullpen, and gives the Mariners the lead. Ocasio getting loose in the pen for the Mariners. Kyle Seager looking for his 3rd hit. Kyle also drove a run in the first inning. As we take another look at the swing by Mitch Haniger in our Primera Super mode. That foot down on time and dropped the barrel on it.
From a 1-run deficit to a 2-run lead. I gotta say, Mike, I do love it when opposing bullpen decisions completely flop. You look at back-to-back moves by Bob Melvin, and you can understand, of course, reasoning on both ends, right? Left on left to bring on Coulombe to face Cano.
Sure.
He walks him. Coulombe's done. You go out and you get the right-hander Hatcher to face. That almost squeaks fair. To face Haniger. Whoops! 3-run homer.
Ultimately, it's up to the guys out of the pen
Sure.
to get the job done, and that did not happen here in this inning. Mitch Haniger, with the 4 RBIs, now leads the club, takes the lead over from Kyle Seager. Casio, he's been throwing for a while. He's ready to go.
Mariners' first lead on the night. A 2-hit and a 4-ribby night for Mitch Haniger.
We were talking about it earlier with Nelson Cruz coming back tomorrow. He'll jump right back into that cleanup spot. But then you have Mitch Haniger leading your club in RBIs with 12 through 11 games. He'll probably be hitting 6th, maybe even 7th. See some of the depth to the lineup.
The third pitcher used this inning by the A's.
Kyle able to get a piece of a split. 3-2 split. It's down at the bottom of the strike zone.
Away, base hit, Kyle Seager. 3-hit night for the Mariners' third baseman.
Just a great piece of hitting by Kyle Seager going the other way on a fastball. Let's take a look at Mitch Haniger. There it is again to the back of the bullpen, his 3rd home run of the year. And D. Gordon loves it. Why not? Third hit for Kyle tonight.
Vogelback a charge. Right field. Wall. First big league home run. Daniel Vogelback.
And we saw a lot of that in spring training. He had 7 home runs in the spring and was very aggressive all spring long. A change that he made over the course of the winter, just his mindset going to the plate, paid off in the spring. Was able to make the ball club, and now it's his first major league home run. Congratulations to him. And here's a look at it. First pitch swinging. That actually ended up getting in on him a little bit. Didn't get all of it. Strong enough to hit it out of the ballpark.
high fives from a guy that Daniel has credited time and time again being such a mentor for him since coming up with the Mariners, that being Kyle Seager. And he's not the first young guy to say those words. Sound like a broken bat. Chapman on first base. Damage dealt by the Mariners. It was 3-2 A's when this inning began, and all with 2 outs. The Mariners strike fire 7-3 through 7. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Jack in the Box. This season, a Mariners double play means free jumbo jacks from Jack in the Box. By BNSF, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. Now suddenly a new ball game. 7-3 Mariners take the lead into the 8th inning, and Juan Nicasio on the mound to pitch.
For Nicasio, fastball, slider, average fastball this year 93 miles an hour. You can see it, 5 appearances for him, 5 2/3, 5 strikeouts.
Guillermo Heredia has taken over for Ichiro in left field. One on Davis. A big moment tonight for Daniel Vogelbach.
Nicasio missing with a couple of sliders.
Right in line with Gordon with Carey. D watches another go over the fence. Davis for the second time, and the 3rd round tripper tonight for the A's.
You were talking about it at the start of the game, Aaron. All the damage that he has done to the Mariners over the last few years. 43 home runs last year, 42 home runs the year before that, and he hits a pretty good pitch right here. Again, a cool night. Dead center field on a slider running away from him. That's on the outside corner. Great effort by Gordon. He's scoring all the runs on the home run tonight.
Well, as we mentioned back in the first inning, moments before Davis went deep for the first time tonight, no player has homered more against the Mariners the last 2 years than Chris Davis. And I got to say, Mike, kind of what you were saying, it's not like all of these home runs from Chris Davis have gone to left field.
No, you're right. They're all over the place, and they've tried just about everything. It hasn't just been the Mariners. Again, he hit 43 home runs last year and 42 the year before that. He's just done a lot of damage. That was a pretty good pitch that he hit out of the ballpark.
I mean, to be perfectly fair to Chris Davis, he is the best 40 home run hitter that no one has said a peep about the last 2 years. Olsen down on strikes. Elevated fastball, 1 out. That brings in Matt Chapman. Chapman a home run back in the 6th inning. Liam Hendricks getting loose inside of the A's bullpen. Santiago Casilla as well.
Late swing on a pretty good fastball.
One and 2 now. Sizes it up. 2 away. Stick around Sunday after the game for a new episode of Mariners All Access. Get exclusive player interviews, behind the scenes footage, and Mariner stories you just can't find anywhere else. If you missed Sunday's episode, tune in for re-airs throughout the week on Root Sports. For your local programming schedule, visit rootsports.com. Daniel Vogelbach with his first big league home run tonight. Already telling the story of it.
Why not?
We'll see. It was the first pitch. It was aggressive.
To the home run by Davis. Looks like a pretty big home run. His first home run in the big leagues.
2 outs for Lucroy. Nicasio quickly ahead 0-2. Tonight, game 1 of 3, Mariners and the A's. Check swing. An appeal. 1-2. chasing away. Castro trying to get this to the bottom of the 8th. Well, that was close.
Well, that was his best fastball at 95 miles an hour, but you can see on the EQC tracer off the plate. And 20 pitches in the inning from Nicasio, 12 strikes.
He's been about a 20-pitch inning guy so far this year. And it continues. In fact, his best outing in terms of efficiency came when he went more than one inning rather, went an inning and 2/3 on the road trip in Minnesota through 20 pitches to get those 5 outs. A pesky battle here with Lucroy.
Yeah, 8 pitches so far. The last 3 fastballs, all of them 95.
Another 3-2. Cano backpedaling. Haniger comes in to make the catch. Leadoff home run, Chris Davis. That's it. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. 7-4 Mariners.
Have given up 18 home runs coming into today's game, 3 more, but none more important than this one by Mitch Haniger. The exit velocity 104.7 miles per hour. We take one more look back. Again, that 2-run shot gave the Mariners the go-ahead lead, and Daniel Vogelbach added to that as well. Hey, where are you rooting on the Mariners tonight? That's what we want to know. Use that hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. What I think I'm figuring out as you look at the Gamble Cap night here, these guys are kind of rocking it, right? These guys very happy with the Gamble Cap, but I don't see any Gamble Caps in this photo. perhaps, but I'm not really sure on that one. And Linda Lou was making sure that Dave knew all about the Gamble Cap Night. But I think, Aaron, that's what I'm really digging about this giveaway. It's versatility, you know? You can kind of do the flowing, beautiful locks, or you can sort of do the I'm rocking out kind of look. It's all up to you.
I think the man bun would be very fashionable. That's very in right now. Liam Hendricks facing Guillermo Heredia.
Hendricks fastball, sliders, average fastball 93 miles an hour. First at bat for Heredia tonight. Took over defense into the ball game for Ichiro. Guillermo, 4 hits on the year, 2 of them home runs.
Joint bunt this time. Very close pitch, 2-1. Hendricks, meanwhile, had ballooned ERA after not recording an out his last time on the mound, giving up a couple. Now Seager and of course Vogelback very instrumental in that 5-run 7th inning. Up the middle, Simeon not able to get there. Already a single to begin the 8th. There comes Romine.
See if Andrew can pick up his first hit of the year. And not many at bat for him, but getting an opportunity to start to take a look at Heredia, his 5th hit on the year. Also limited playing time for him. Edwin Diaz getting loose in the pen.
Two and 0. Diaz and Vincent. And now a trainer coming out to see Hendricks.
I haven't seen anything from him. His fastball velocity has been right where his average is, anywhere from 91 to 94 miles an hour. Just look at that last pitch. Maybe he twisted an ankle. That'd be funny.
Well, whatever it is, Hendricks is done. A's are running out of pitchers. Step aside.
at the Ford Sports Desk. What do you get the guy who has everything? Well, of course you get him a Ben Gamel cap, or at least you do tonight. The hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Jamie checks in, says, happy birthday, Tony. I don't know if he asked for a Ben Gamel hat, but you got one now, Tony. And then Carrie Ann sends this one in. The whole entire family sporting the Ben Gamel cap. I'm telling you, look at how versatile this is. It doesn't matter if you're a brunette or a blonde, it works. Remember to use that hashtag. Thanks, Rick, for that photo. Presented by Alaska Airlines. It is Where I Root. Aaron.
All right, thank you, Angie. Santiago Casilla is now up on the mound, making his 4th appearance.
1.8 ERA in 5 innings. He has 6 strikeouts. He's not giving up a hit so far this year. Good fastball at 94 miles an hour. Mix in a curveball with it.
A's have now used 4 pitchers to get the last 3 outs. Now, granted, Hendricks leaving because of injury of some form. Back to the Vogelback home run. First in Vogelback's career. Already taken off, and he's out at second.
Perfect throw to get him. He's not leaving second base. It's Scott Service holding things up for a minute. We'll see if he wants to take a look at it. Maniaca on the phone as to take another look. Pretty good jump by Heredia and a strong throw.
Now this will be challenged.
Paul Nauer, the umpire, out at second base this evening.
Kerwin Danley there, the crew chief. At least on the first angle we saw, it looked like Heredia is out.
There's another look at it. Yeah, I don't think there's much doubt.
You're right about that throw, Mike.
Yeah, it looked like he ended up catching it right on his leg.
Meanwhile, Casilla just brought out of the bullpen for Hendricks, who had to leave because of some form of injury. Casilla trying to stay warm. That call stands. Leadoff single erased, 1 out. And we count 2-1 on Romine. Now, barring a Mariners run, we will see Edwin Diaz in the top of the 9th inning. Home run by Chris Davis, meaning that Diaz would get some work. Full count. with a strikeout. 2 down. Top of the order, here's D. Gordon, who doubled back in the second. That extended his hitting streak to 11 games. Every game of the season, in fact. He looks at ball 1. A look ahead to tomorrow. We're on the air at 5:30. Marco Gonzalez up on the mound after a rough one in his most recent start. Was fantastic in San Francisco on the road trip prior to that. He opposed by Kendall Graveman. Two balls and a strike.
Edwin Diaz ready to go.
Meanwhile, Casilla, the 6th reliever used tonight by the A's.
Edwin, he's pacing himself out in the bullpen. You can see Nick Vincent also loose.
Now for the Mariners, the story, that 5-run 7th inning. Highlighted by Haniger's 3-run blast and Vogelback's 2-run shot. To Chapman. And that retires his side. We go to the 9th. Edwin Diaz about to come on to finish things off. Seven-4 lead to the top of the 9th here in Game 1 against the A's. Well, we want you to join the conversation for up-to-date information and live interaction. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can check us out and stay connected with Root Sports. Now, time for Edwin Diaz, Mike.
And he has been special so far this year. Good fastball. It'll be 95 to 100 miles an hour. Hard slider. The slider 90-91. Overall, 5 appearances for him, 4 saves, 4 chances. In 5 innings, he has 12 strikeouts. Has yet to give up a hit or walk a batter.
Piscotty looks at strike 1. Oh, and 2.
Quickly ahead. Able to get loose with 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Comes right back with a slider at 88.
The 0-2. An appeal. It does not go. Slider outside, 2-2.
90 miles an hour on the slider.
Maxwell, pinch hitter, showing up on deck. The payoff. Weak ground ball. Took it out. 1 out. Now, you know, we saw this in Kansas City with the former Mariner Abraham Almonte, who was called on by Ned Yost off the bench to face Edwin. The best I can think of, these are guys who have upset their managers. Almonte, now Maxwell.
Well, we just saw the number for Maxwell, 2 for 3 against Edwin.
Well, maybe some more strategy here. This does not seem like the most enjoyable pinch hit experience. 0-2. Trying to catch up to 98. You can even feel it inside the ballpark. Everyone wanting to see, is it going to be the fastball? Will it be the slider? And how foolish can he possibly make a hitter look?
It's disappointing when they put it in play.
That's crushing, Mike. With 99. If you include that ground out by Piscotty, Diaz 12 strikeouts to 19 batters faced. The 1-2. Time call. Barely missing. And Diaz run the count full, each of the first 2 hitters now.
No surprise, up by 3 runs, is going to challenge him. Fastball on the outside corner at 97.
Another 3-2. Right past him with 97.
Took him a few pitches, 8 of them. It's a good fastball at 97, elevated, top of the strike zone.
Last stroke for the A's, Matt Joyce.
Not as sharp as we've seen him. 16 pitches, 8 strikes from him. Nothing wrong with his stuff. He's topped out at 99. Not the command we've seen in the last few outings.
A 3-ball count to all 3 hitters now.
A little bit surprised 2-0 to see him throw a breaking ball. Simeon waiting on deck.
Pitch walk, first walk of the season for Diaz. Simeon. And Diaz is 1 out away from a Mariners win tonight. That's a strike there with the slider. To Cano. Robbie handles it smoothly. Mariners come from behind tonight, and they take down the A's 7-4 in Game 1.
Unfortunately, Mike Leake will not get the win tonight, but I thought he really pitched well. And Daniel Vogelbach, you see him coming out of the dugout, his first major league home run. Mitch Haniger drives in 4 runs for the Mariners, including a home run late in the ballgame to give them the lead. Overall, nice way to start the homestand.
Mariners take the first of 3 against the Oakland A's. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines starts right now. Bill Bradley, take it away.
Oh, gentlemen, we will. And we like to see the celebration, the high fives and smiles on the field. The Mariners take Game 1 of the 3-game set, 7-4. It's 5 saves out of 5 opportunities for Edwin Diaz, and Bill has not given up a hit. He might go the whole year without giving up a hit. Just ridiculous what he's been doing so far.
Well, he's got tremendous stuff. We knew that, but his control has been so much. He walked the guy for the first time all season long, but yeah, if his control remains where it's at and he's able to get ahead and he puts you in that position where you don't know if it's going to be fastball or slider, you're in a world of hurt.
And then offense coming together. They scored 2 in the first, quiet for a while, but you just knew they were going to break through at some point against this revolving door of relievers for the A's.
Well, the A's bullpen's been good, but I just think if you eventually, every dog has his day. You keep digging deeper and deeper into somebody's bullpen, eventually you're going to find that dog, and the Mariners did that with Chris Hatcher. It's a bit of a head scratcher when you've got a guy like Casilla hasn't given up a hit. He pitches when you're way behind, and Hatcher's there with Haniger and the game on the line. But the Mariners take advantage, hit the long ball. Vogelbach backs it up, and it kind of turns into a laugher.
Yeah, it was Vantage Haniger that at-bat. 4 RBIs for the right fielder, and he is standing by with Jen Mueller.
So, Mitch, they were just talking about the home run there. A lot of pitching changes in the 7th inning. How does that potentially disrupt your timing and change your approach in that at-bat?
Yeah, I knew they were going to bring in a righty, and it was a great job by Robbie getting the walk right there. I mean, that was huge. It doesn't happen if Segura doesn't get on base with a hit, and Robbie worked that count and get a walk, and I was lucky to come up and do some damage.
When you got a hit like that and a swing like that, it's not just putting the bat on the ball. What part of your mechanics made that swing possible?
Just trying to have good timing and swinging good pitches and hit the ball hard. That's always the focus, and I was able to get a good pitch to drive and put a good swing on it, and luckily it went out.
You make it sound so easy. In fact, you've made it look pretty easy hitting and cleanup spot. So are you going to lobby that Nelly maybe moves down to like 8th since he could be coming back tomorrow?
No, I'm not Nelson Cruz, but just trying to do my job and help the team win, and nobody can fill that guy's shoes, but we're excited to have him back soon.
It certainly will be fun. Last question about your teammate Daniel Vogelbach, who gets his first career home run. What does that mean to see him do that, and how does that help a guy settle in?
Yeah, that was awesome. I was pumped for him, and we were all really, really excited in the dugout, and it's going to be fun celebrating with him after the game and go in there and have a good time in the clubhouse.
All right, well, we'll let you do that right now. Mitch Haniger, a big home run. Daniel Vogelbach, a home run. And Brad, both of those coming with 2 outs in the inning. No sweat, no problem for the Mariners.
You just knew it was going to come, Jen. Thank you very much. All 5 of those runs in the 7th inning coming with 2 outs. And you just brought up the point. With Haniger batting cleanup, you can afford to walk Cano. Maybe not 3 times like they did today, but Cano very quietly just continues to get on base 4 times. He's hitting .424, Bill. Off to, doesn't have a home run yet, but off to a great start and kind of a little overlooked, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, probably because, he hasn't hit a home run yet, but this guy is in the rocking chair. He's so smooth, and he's able to let the ball travel and find a pitch that he can handle. And but he's got tremendous patience. He knows the strike zone. He knows the value of getting on base in this lineup that has breath. And Mitch Haniger can hit in the league. And they want to keep doing this. They're going to pay. Mitch Haniger's made him pay so far this season. He's had a great start to the year now with 3 homers and 12 RBIs. But that's the way baseball looks at things. Nelson Cruz out. Robinson Cano, the Hall of Famer to be. We're not going to let him beat us. We'll let the guy we don't know that much about, we'll test him. Well, that didn't work out too well for the A's, and great for Mitch Haniger because you're building huge confidence in a young player that has done it in glimpses, hasn't done it for a whole season, has stepped into the cleanup spot into some big shoes and really delivered, especially tonight.
And Robbie Cano getting on base 4 times tonight. He's been on base in all 11 games. On base percentage .578.
That's pretty good. That's like Bonds.
Higher than his slugging percentage. It gives you a little, that's Bonds-esque back in the day. Yeah, so Cano getting it done, Haniger backing him up, Vogelbach as well. Hopefully we'll hear from Daniel Vogelbach if he's out of the celebration there in the clubhouse. We'll see how that goes tonight. By the way, Mike Leake on the mound continues his streak. It's another start of over 5 innings, 3 runs or less. That's 8 straight. 3rd longest in the majors right now. Leake gets a no decision. We'll talk about him. More on this one. Mariners open up the homestand with a 7-4 win over the A's. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines continues.